This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Andy Theronier.
Welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast. Are you in need of a photographer who creates content for businesses or leisure in and out of South Florida? Well, one might be closer than you think. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing you your good neighbor, Webby Cassius, with Dirty Lens Media Group. Webby, how's it going?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing actually pretty good. Glad you can have us here in the neighborhood. Okay. So, Webby, we're excited to learn all about you and your business. Tell us about your company.
Well, we're a South Florida-based company that kind of specializes in photography, social media content creation, and overall social media marketing. So we want to be able to be the one-stop shop to helping small businesses and large businesses navigate through online visibility and as well as on the street visibility as well with photography, wherever the case might be that they're needed.
Well, that's awesome. That's actually very awesome. Now, Webby, you seem very, very knowledgeable in this industry. How did you get into this business?
I've always been around technology as a child. So when social media first started, taking off, it wasn't the number one source for communication, but it was commonly being blown up. So I took it as a stepping stone for myself to go ahead and get familiar with it. So I've always been an event coordinator. I've run nightclubs. I've done parties at numerous places in South Florida, and I needed the pictures to be out to the public to get the word out on how great the event was. So I would take pictures at the events as well. So from there on, I've always been around cameras and I already knew how to market myself online and market the business. So I took that as I would like to say, I'm like a sponge. Any experience I've had in my life, I've always taken it with me. So down the line, I can use those same skill set. So during the pandemic, I would say prior to the pandemic, I was in school at FIU and I had a remaining balance. To all the college students out there, when you get your financial aid check, there's some money that's usually left over. Some people like to blow it and go partying. Me, I took that money, invested, and purchased a high-end camera. And at that point,
Mhm.
I taught myself, um, searched online, training, wherever the case might be, to get real knowledgeable with it before I started going out there charging people. Pandemic was what's really pushed me over the edge on how to start the business correctly and so forth. So I would say the pandemic is what really got me here because that made me grind because I lost my job during the pandemic. So all I had was a camera and a prayer.
Well, that's awesome. A positive outcome out of the pandemic. And that's always great to see how either companies start or companies pivot in a situation like that.
Mhm.
Let me ask you this. What are some myths or misconceptions in your industry, as it seems like you're very, very talented at what you do?
That photography is just anybody can be a photographer. That's what a lot of folks think. All you're doing is pressing the button. It's not easy. It's not really that easy as folks might think. Um, Taking pictures is the easy part. Properly organizing yourself and dealing with numerous clients at one time, making sure that your files is not misplaced. The mindset of having a clean desk and having the organizational skill set is very pivotal to being a photographer. Um, Me personally, I don't like being in front of the camera, and folks think since I take pictures all the time, I love getting pictures taken of me. I don't like it because then when folks take pictures of me, I have to criticize how they took it. Like, I'm very critical. Like, you didn't get the lighting right. Your composing is not up to par. Like, I treat it like as if a client was like if I was the client and I'm being taken pictures of. So yeah, photographers, most photographers don't like getting in front of the camera. We like making the creation.
Oh, wow. Mental note, do not take a selfie with you. And but let me ask you this, because you mentioned a lot about clients. Who are your favorite customers and how do you attract them?
Ooh, I would like to say, birthdays come all the time. I wouldn't say birthdays. I think the biggest thing to me is maternity shoots and branding for companies, because those are the two people who are putting trust into a bright future. With maternity shoots, you're getting clients who want to document a very monumental moment in their life, and then you got branding where companies they're putting trust into you to properly make sure that they're visible to the public to bring in revenue or visibility, whatever the case might be. So I think those two are my biggest favorites because the expression that they get and provide me after the shoots, you know, makes me know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Oh, that's awesome, actually. Very, it's very deep, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so let's calm it down a little bit and bring it back.
Mhm.
Outside of work, outside of what do you do for fun?
I'm an avid gamer. I've
Yeah.
been gaming since I'm not gonna say my age, but I've been gaming for a while now. Um, I like spending time with my family, my wife, my daughters, um, and I like binge watching a lot of criminal shows, especially shows by Dick Wolf. Like right now, I'm re-watching New York Undercover all over again.
Oh
So,
wow.
so I love watching like shows like that.
Okay, pretty cool. Pretty cool. So let's switch gears.
Mm.
Webby, can you describe a hardship or a life challenge you overcame and how it made you stronger? What comes to mind?
Um, I would say in 2021, during the pandemic, I became very ill, and the hospitals couldn't determine what was the reason why I was so ill, and I was in a coma for probably like 10 days.
Dang.
Um, and this is all leading up while I'm preparing for my wedding. So after I woke up from that, I was in sepsis shock. Um, I had kidney, lung, and heart failure, and I had to learn how to walk again. So basically, starting all over at an older age and just getting through that traumatic, situation where so much reminds you of what got you into that situation. So it kind of messes with you mentally. So getting through that stage in life and then having to jump into another stage of life of getting married, it was very emotional, very overwhelming. So yeah, I would say that right there because luckily by the grace of God, I'm still here.
Yeah, that's awesome. You into that too, by the way. That's a serious transition. People don't oftentimes think about that, but learning to walk again at an older age, that's definitely different.
Yeah,
Okay, Webby. Well, let's do this. Please tell our listeners one thing they should remember about Dirty Lens Media Group.
we provide an experience. I'm not a I'm a photographer, but I'm a photographer that provides an experience. Every experience, people like to consider them sessions. I call them experiences because those are the things that you're going to always remember. How I was so careful to detail and making sure that my clients are very comfortable in whatever state they might be pregnant, possibly coming back from, you know, a long-term surgery, whatever the case might be. I make sure that I pay attention to detail.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And how can our listeners learn more about Dirty Lens Media Group?
Well, we're on all social media platforms, X, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I have a website, www.bookdlmg.com. You can find all our social media handles on there. And yeah, anytime you type in Dirty Lens on Google or any search engine, you're going to more than likely see my face.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And we hope to see more of it. Well, Webby, I really appreciate you being on the show. We wish you and your business the best moving forward here in the neighborhood.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnppalmbeach.com. That's gnppalmbeach.com. Or call 561 783 8999.